Good morning. My name is Kayla Fernandez, and today I'm presenting the research question: How are the limitations of students' rights an illustration of the First Amendment in U.S. public schools? First, what is the First Amendment? Basically, the First Amendment is the right to speech, religion, press, assembly, and petition. But the Constitution formally states that Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press, or the right of the people peacefully to assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. The first court case I really want to talk about is Tinker versus Des Moines, because it determined it was a First Amendment violation for public schools to punish students for expressing themselves. Christopher Eckhart and Mary Beth Tinker got suspended for wearing a black armbands protesting the Vietnam War. The principal had expressed his disagreement towards the armbands, so this highlights the students' concerns of can they express themselves in school efficiently without getting in trouble. And I think it's very important because it sets one of the borders to what is accepted as legal free speech. Tinker versus Des Moines basically gave us our protesting rights and says that schools cannot punish you for your speech unless it disrupts school. Schools can typically discipline you for missing class, but not because of the content of your protest. Schools can't punish you on messages expressed by your clothing unless they disrupt the school environment. And you have the right to wear clothing expressing your opinions if it doesn't disrupt the school. And outside of school, you enjoy the same rights to protest and speak out just as anybody else. The second court case I want to talk about is Harper versus Poway Unified School District. Chase Harper, an openly religious boy, decided to come to school wearing this, as you can see, this shirt that says, "Be ashamed. Our school embraced what God has condemned. Homosexuality is shameful." Criticizing and judging his homosexual peers that had just had an LGBT community celebration. This is one of the more confusing court cases because it had established that the morality of one person is different to another's. Thus, not everyone can be satisfied and protected by the First Amendment. And it established that the framework of the First Amendment is basically unclear and doesn't set exactly straight what we can and cannot do. The guarantee is not absolute, however, and the United States Supreme Court has said that the First Amendment does not fully protect student speech in public schools. The resulting case law is confusing and fails to provide lower courts with a clear analytical framework for evaluating First Amendment challenges to regulations of student speech. This goes into time, place, and manner. The time, place, and manner is when, where, and how you express your actions. For example, obscenity is a prime example of what is not protected in the First Amendment rights. Aggressiveness and violence can lead to consequences and is not freedom of speech. For example, if a teacher is giving a lecture, you cannot just get up and start screaming and being aggressive because then you'll get suspended. This brought me to the conclusion that the school system has the upper hand when it comes to students' First Amendment rights and limits placed upon it. Although public school officials retain substantial, they're not absolute, discretion in designing school curricula, attempts to censor access to materials in the school library will not be permitted unless the restricted materials can be demonstrated to be educationally unsuitable. This brings me into my second topic, which is censorship in public schools. Did you know that 25% of librarians stated previously challenged books affect their book buying decisions? And if that challenge is from an administrator, the number significantly jumps up to 46%. People are unlikely to become well-functioning, independent mind and adults and responsible citizens if they are raised in an intellectual bubble. Courts have even said that the students have the right to receive information. This means that censoring things in public schools hurts students more than benefits us and takes away from our learning experience. Restrictions in school are basically for the safety and order and educational purposes of the students. This brought me to my solution that the school should be allowed to restrict certain aspects of the government in which students learn for safety and order, but they shouldn't be able to silence students' beliefs and thoughts. Thank you. What are your questions?
All right, two questions for you. How valid and reliable are the sources that you've used, and then how do you know?
I think my sources are reliable because when I found them, they were like from like the Washington Review Law and Knowledge Quest, which are like academic journals and places where like the people are qualified to write and have perspectives that are unbiased about these topics.
Okay, and next question. If you had more time, what additional research would you conduct related to this issue?
If I had more time, I would like to know like exactly like the whole entire timeline of how the First Amendment rights in public schools started being presented. For example, I was wondering if Tinker versus Des Moines was the first case to ever be presented about the First Amendment in public schools, but it was, kind of hard to do.
All right, thank you.